What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. This is episode 390 for your September 11th, 2021. I am JD from New York, and we are just coming off a very historic week in the world of professional wrestling with AEW All Out. As of today, Tony Khan said the pay-per-view did over 200,000 buys. Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, CM Punk's in-ring return against Darby Allin for the first time in 7.5 years, and Dynamite had their second biggest rating since their debut episode, and they are not stopping at all, man. When I said history, I meant every bit of it. History. Hopefully they can continue to keep that up, and hopefully we see the creative side of things get better and better, and we see all of the potential dream matches that right now exist in AEW, and we see all of that come to fruition. Wednesday night was easily, by far, the easiest 2 hours that I remember watching in recent memory. I wish it was like that on Monday night, but we are not so lucky right now in terms of Monday Night Raw. I'm excited about coming out of All Out, man. I'm excited. I'm excited for the future. I'm excited to get started today on the podcast. I thank you guys very much for joining me here for episode 390. Today, sponsored by my great friends over at Manscaped, manscaped.com. You guys are going to use code SCRIPT20 for 20% off everything you need via the website over at manscaped.com. We'll talk about them a little bit later on in the show. What we got lined up today, man, we got news on a WWE Draft. We got news on a Queen of the Ring. We got news on a King of the Ring. When are these events going to take place? I got it all for you. WWE signs Olympic gold medalist. That is Gable Steveson. He is now exclusively with the WWE. We'll talk about that as well. We got news on the video game side of things. WWE 2K22 bringing back a major feature that has been missing for the last 15 years. Finally, a development team is listening to its fan base. Mick Foley in hot water with WWE over putting over AEW. Booker T admits that WWE has a problem. And I got news on Adam Cole, baby, and what WWE potentially wanted him to do with who, and then change his name on top of it. Man, oh man, he made the greatest decision of his entire life, man. We're going to talk about all that, plus so much more right here on episode 390. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. Make sure you guys go and check out right underneath the video player that you're watching this right now, whether you're on Android, iPhone, PC, TV, you'll see it right there. Make sure you guys check out the Bonfire website. That's bonfire.com. You can click on the shirt that you want. It'll take you right to the website, and you guys can get yourself some nice official off-the-script merchandise. That's bonfire.com. Very easy for you, as they are now partnered with YouTube. If you guys want to support the podcast, other ways you could certainly do that. All you have to do is hit that thumbs up. Let's try for 1,500 thumbs up on today's podcast. Patreon.com is a great way to do that as well. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. We still got the engraved baseball bat dugout mugs. So those are awesome. They'll keep your beverages nice and cold. And we got some exclusive t-shirts over there as well. The Are We Live t-shirt, only available on Patreon. That is patreon.com/JD from NY206. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications, and make sure you guys go check out all the other videos that you might have missed on the channel. We got Monday Night Raw. We got AEW Dynamite. Jesse and I talking about the fallout from All Out, and I was live on Friday night with SmackDown and Rampage. Some decent shows there, and we debuted my brother's latest single, Mr. Legionary himself, Frankie D. We got new Legionary debuting in the venue last night. Go and check all that stuff out, and I would really, really appreciate it. Let's start at the top, man. First of all, we mentioned this on Wednesday because Jesse and I have a very fond memory of what Triple H brought us with the NXT that is now dead come Tuesday because Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon are taking over operations on Tuesday night, which I will be live for. I'm going live against my will because I'm pretty sure that it's going to be a complete dumpster fire, and I want to be right there with my sunglasses on, shitting all over the Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon vision of NXT. But speaking of NXT, Grandpa NXT, Triple H, he is grandpa or father. I don't know why I said grandpa. Either way, he's the father of NXT. And in 2016, 17, 18, and 19, it was some of the best professional wrestling that I could ever remember. It really reignited my love for everything WWE. Everything they did was right. Anybody that's been listening to me, you know about what Triple H did and how I always said that it was not just a niche audience. Everything that Triple H did pretty much should have been used on the main roster. The quality over quantity aspect, the revolving door of superstars that come on in and are not featured every single week, storylines, character development, entrances, theme music, overall rugged, dirty, pro wrestling feel. Everything about it was the way the main roster should be operating. And I do realize that Triple H is no longer in charge, but I would say at the end of the day, if there was someone in WWE that I would want to take over for everybody right now on the main roster, it would be Triple H. And I do trust Triple H enough that if he was in charge, given about 18 to 24 months, I think the main roster would see a major turnaround where it would not be as embarrassing as it is today. And I stand behind that. Because the work that he did with NXT when he was all by himself, and he developed a team all by himself, and nobody was bothering him, and he didn't have to worry about AEW and the ratings, and he didn't have to win the Wednesday Night War and all this other shit. I do think if you put him in that and let him do what he has to do, I think we would see a major, major, major renaissance as far as WWE is concerned. But Triple H was hospitalized this week with a cardiac event. He is expected to make a full recovery, but I just want to send my thoughts, well wishes, and prayers out to Paul Levesque, Triple H. The official statement from WWE reads as follows, and I quote, Paul Levesque, a.k.a. Triple H, underwent a successful procedure last week at Yale New Haven Hospital following a cardiac event. The episode was caused by a genetic heart disease or issue, and Paul is expected to make a full recovery. Now, I don't want to sit here and joke about the severity of the issue. You guys know exactly what type of jokes I would probably make in this, as it falls in line with Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard taking over and changing everything that he did, but I will not do that because I respect Triple H enough to know that this is not a time for jokes and games. Hopefully he gets back to business, and hopefully he makes a full recovery. As far as Triple H is concerned, I know there were some reports saying that he's still in charge of NXT and running the day-to-day operations. He is not. Triple H has not been running NXT since the move to the USA Network, and they expanded to 2 hours. If you believe that, you're a fool. Triple H has not been in charge. It's been run by somebody else because everything you've watched on Tuesday night, especially when they were live on Wednesdays against AEW, was not Triple H. Everything was being fed to him by higher powers. Triple H lost all power when they moved to the USA Network. He's in charge on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. He's in charge of all 6 other days. He's in charge of filing papers and making sure that the coffee is hot in the office, and he's there making sure all the copy paper is in the printer and the printer has fresh ink. He's pushing a pencil, getting everybody's schedule ready. He isn't running NXT. Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon are running NXT on Tuesday night. So if you hear anybody say, well, Triple H is still in charge, I don't know what you're talking about. How do you know? We know. We know. Open your eyes and watch the program. The program hasn't been the same way since Mauro Ranallo left. And with him went everything. He was also another integral part of everything. But regardless, NXT, Triple H, I wish him the best. Hopefully a speedy recovery on his end. WWE has a draft coming up. What good it will do, I don't know. I think we need to end the draft. I think we need to end the brand split. With WWE hiring all these unknowns, and who knows how long they're going to be in the system before they make a big splash and really make a return on WWE's investment. I don't know how we could operate on Monday and Friday night with the existing rosters as they sit now. You know WWE isn't going to push anybody new. You know WWE isn't going to push anybody that they've been sitting on for the last 3 years. That's not what they do. They don't want that. They don't like that. They don't want anything that was borrowed from NXT. They don't want the indie stink on the main roster. Keith Lee, Ricochet, Humberto, and all these other guys that they called up. They ain't going to make a splash anytime soon. So we're stuck in the middle of rematches and just very formulaic storylines. Nothing new, nothing exciting. Rematches every week. Top contenders that don't generate any interest. Titles that don't mean anything. Dead crowds like Raw had in Miami on Monday. The same old shit. Same old shit. The draft is something that I advocated for many, many years ago because of the oversaturation of performer on the roster. And now we're not looking at that oversaturation. In fact, I think WWE's roster is a little thin on both Monday and Friday night to a point where we don't need 2 men's championships in the tag team division, 2 women's championships. We don't need 2 world championships. All we need is one. All we need is one brand universally connected. That is it. We don't need all this extra. We don't need Raw existing on its own. We don't need SmackDown existing on its own. Fox and NBC Universal don't want the rosters combined because they want their own separate entities. Fox would undoubtedly be angry because WWE's putting all of their efforts into SmackDown and leaving Raw with nothing. Can you imagine if Monday Night Raw had just as much effort put into it than SmackDown? Fox would not be happy, but we would be. Monday Night Raw would be a better show. That's what we should strive for. But here we are listening to the fucking TV networks, and they don't know jack shit about anything. They don't know their elbow from their asshole. Yet I'm supposed to listen to fucking NBC Universal about new ideas and pitched plans to make Monday Night Raw better. I've been telling you how to make Monday Night Raw better for the last 6 fucking years. End the brand split. Guarantee you'll see a different WWE. But we have a draft coming up, unfortunately. October 1st, starting on SmackDown. October 4th, bleeding into Raw. And then October 8th, the season premiere of SmackDown will unveil both a king and queen of the ring. I'm all for TV meaning something. I'm all for a king and queen of the ring. I'm not for the finals taking place for both in Saudi Arabia. Because that means I have to watch, because I'm going to invest my time in a tournament. Now, I don't know what WWE has planned for the tournament. I don't know who is going to be in the tournament. But the last time we saw a tournament was 2019, and that was won by Baron Corbin, who went as King Corbin for the last 2.5 years before now he is Happy Corbin. But if WWE does the same exact thing that they did with that tournament, with this tournament, then I think we should be fine, because that tournament really gave us some damn good matches. And I think there are a ton of talent on this show that could benefit from some wins, some consistency, some eyeballs from the fans as they see them more and more in advance in the tournament, like a Ricochet, like a Keith Lee, guys like that, Cesaro. So it's going to be very interesting to see how WWE handles this King of the Ring tournament. The Queen of the Ring tournament, I'm not that interested in, because WWE has not gotten the women's division right on Raw or SmackDown, so why would I expect them to do anything right with the Queen of the Ring tournament? I don't know who is even on the roster that would be interesting as a Queen of the Ring. Charlotte's the champion, so we know right now she may not win it unless she loses to Alexa Bliss at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, God forbid. But Sasha Banks is there, Bianca Belair. I don't know when Bayley's due back. She's probably got another 6 months or so before she gets back to action. We don't know what's going on with the Queen of the Ring. Toni Storm, Shotzi Blackheart, Tegan Nox. I would have included some NXT talent in there, but that's just me. WWE doesn't want NXT to be mingling on the main roster. But they have at least 8 I'd like to see on the main roster. Asuka maybe come back, give a Liv Morgan a shot. Liv Morgan looks like somebody that could potentially win the goddamn thing. That's what the tournament should be used for, to build people up like Liv Morgan. Carmella, we've seen enough of Carmella. All we need to do is see Zelina Vega win the fucking the Queen of the Ring tournament and really justify herself getting a championship match, which I don't think would happen anyway. But they got the resources to do something interesting. Will they? I don't know. I don't have any faith in them, because look at the women's division right now on Raw and SmackDown. The King of the Ring and the Queen of the Ring, says Andrew Zarian of Mat Men Podcast, will kick off on those dates. Finals take place on October 21 in Saudi Arabia. 2021 would mark the inaugural year of the Queen of the Ring. Baron Corbin won it in 2019 and went under King Corbin for 2 years. So we'll look forward to that. Maybe we'll do a mock draft. Maybe we'll do a draft episode of a podcast here and there. We'll talk about the Queen of the Ring. We'll come up with our own Queen and King of the Ring. I don't know how many men and women are going to be in this thing. Normally, it's 8. WWE upped it to 16 in 2019, but now we got to do 2 tournaments. So I think they do 8 and 8, which equals combined 16. So we'll see what happens. But either way, I'm just glad we're getting it back. It's not the way I would introduce the Queen of the Ring and the King of the Ring. I would actually do a King of the Ring tournament on pay-per-view. And I mean a one-night tournament. Go back to the days of Bret the Hitman Hart winning it in 1993. Do the whole fucking tournament on pay-per-view. And then have the finals of the women, Queen of the Ring, at that same pay-per-view. Or maybe save the Queen of the Ring for television and do the King of the Ring on pay-per-view. But either way, I've been calling for it to be on pay-per-view for years now. I don't know why they don't put it in the middle of the pay-per-view calendar, having it be a bridge between WrestleMania and SummerSlam, and the winner of the King of the Ring tournament gets a championship match of his choosing, whether it's the WWE title or the Universal title, at SummerSlam. It books itself. Plus, you give meaning to the tournament, and the meaning of whoever wins the tournament is over. I don't get it. The laziness and the lack of effort on everybody's behalf in WWE. It sucks. It really does suck. Olympic gold medalist Gable Steveson has signed exclusively with the WWE. He is a NCAA champion and an Olympic gold medalist. He made a decision on what he's doing next. It was either UFC or WWE. And Steveson tweeted this week, just put pen to paper. Dave Meltzer later confirmed that Steveson has signed a contract with WWE exclusively. He has fielded offers from several places, but WWE was pushing the hardest to sign him, and he's been invited to a TakeOver show and a SummerSlam show as of a couple of weeks ago. Steveson met with Vince McMahon during SummerSlam weekend while there was talk that he could make the jump to MMA, UFC. Dana White was also said to be interested, but Dana White, I don't know if he actually met with Steveson one-on-one like Vince McMahon did. Steveson won the gold medal in wrestling at the Olympics in Tokyo this year. He is friends with Paul Heyman, and it was known that there was a good chance that he would land in WWE. WWE also had Olympic gold medalist Tamara Mensah at SummerSlam. She won the gold medal at the Tokyo Olympics in women's freestyle wrestling. No word on if the company is close to signing her and bringing her in exclusively as well. I don't think that's necessary. They were looking for their next Kurt Angle, and I think they got it. And this is the type of guy that they're going to sign, people. No more Adam Cole, baby. No more Johnny Gargano. No more Tommaso Ciampa. No more, Jonathan Gresham-like guys. It's all over. Now, I'm not saying WWE will not sign people like that, period, anymore. There may be one that breaks through. There may be 1 or 2 that breaks through. We don't know. But it's not going to be a situation where Triple H had the entire Indies become a free agent and they scooped all of them up and brought them into NXT. That was Triple H's vision. Triple H is no longer in charge of what's going on in NXT. When you see Gable Steveson on NXT, he will be trained by Vince McMahon. He will be trained by Vince McMahon's team. He will know the Vince McMahon way. This is one of the problems. Bruce Pritchard and Kevin Dunn and Johnny Laurinaitis and Nick Khanman and Vince McMahon, they all made a trip to the Performance Center several weeks ago. Why do you think that is? Because they wanted to know what type of operation was being run down there, and they wanted to know when they get their hands involved, what they need to change. That's exactly what happened here. And then they had a Las Vegas turnout where they signed maybe 15, 16 people from the tryout in Las Vegas during SummerSlam weekend, all handpicked by WWE management. Triple H was there to oversee everything, but he wasn't in charge of who was signed and who was not signed. He was just there as a public figure because everybody loves Paul Levesque. This is the type of guy that Vince McMahon is going to sign. He wants to mold them in his vision. He don't want them to know anything about pro wrestling upon entering the WWE. For all that we know, this guy I don't know if he knows anything. He knows how to wrestle, so he's got to step ahead of the competition. But wrestling in the Olympics is different than wrestling in the WWE. He doesn't have an instance in which he wrestled for an independent company. That's what they want. That's what they're looking for. They want to mold them from nothing. All they want these people who they sign, like Gable Steveson, to know is the WWE way. Everything else, as far as pro wrestling in a major market, AEW, MLW, Ring of Honor, Impact, New Japan, they don't want you to know about that shit. The only pro wrestling that they want you to know is WWE. Because if Gable Steveson was in Ring of Honor, or if he was somewhere else and had 5-6 years of experience, and then WWE picked him up, they'd have to beat the indie out of them. That's what they don't want. This guy's going to be a perennial main event WrestleMania guy because this is a Vince McMahon signing. He doesn't know anything. All he's going to know is Vince McMahon's way. He's more likely to make it to the top than somebody like Adam Cole, who should have already been there. Good for them, I guess. My question is, how long before we see WWE's return on investment here? You think because you're an amateur wrestler, you're going to get the WWE way? How long before this guy's ready? 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, could be longer than that. He may never be ready. Then you got to get him on TV. You got to get him a character. You got to get him a look. You got to get him an entrance. You got to mold him the way you want. Before you know it, NXT may be dead at that point. Cease to exist. This goes for everybody. How long before we see a return on investment with these guys? I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see. But good for him. I don't know how much hate he's got because I know he said something on social media about, signing with UFC, Dana White, WWE, and he got really reamed out on social media because he mentioned World Wrestling Entertainment. But that's WWE nowadays. They just got a bad stigma about what they're doing, and nobody really is interested in whatever WWE is doing. But we'll see how much money he's making in the end and what he's got going on and how long he gets to TV. It's going to be a very interesting watch. So Gable Steveson has signed with the WWE exclusively, and he will be in their performance center sooner rather than later. Someone who WWE and AEW is not interested in signing is Tessa Blanchard. We talked about this on Wednesday. Cassidy Haynes of Bodyslam.net reported that he was told the only major American wrestling company that's been in talks with Tessa Blanchard since she left Impact was the NWA. Haynes was also told there are currently no plans for her to appear in WWE/NXT or All Elite Wrestling. One source added that she's nuclear. Nobody wants Tessa. Tessa's reputation has been built on the independent circuit in pro wrestling, and she's very good at what she does. I don't think that's a secret to anybody. But the heat with Blanchard comes down to her past attitude issues and issues with talent, as far as her making some racial remarks and really being derogatory towards certain talents that she's worked with here and abroad. Tessa is awesome. Tessa knows how to wrestle. It's going to be very sad to not see that woman, work at what she's arguably the best at when it comes to women's wrestling. And she may be the best women's wrestler in the world. Whether you think that or not, I don't really give a shit. Go on your show and talk about Tessa all you want. I'm not here to break her down. I'm not here to fucking speak ill will of Tessa Blanchard. Tessa Blanchard is an amazing professional wrestler. I don't know Tessa Blanchard. You don't know Tessa Blanchard. All we know is of what we heard on social media. But she's nuclear right now. WWE, I don't really see them as doing anything, in regards to that. I don't think they really care about her being nuclear. It's not stopped them in the past before. So for her to not land in WWE, I don't know. I find that to be quite odd. That they're now all of a sudden concerned about Tessa's past. Never stopped them before signing anybody. Maybe she still ends up there. I don't know. The last we saw of her on Instagram and on Twitter, she posted pictures with Ted DiBiase's $1 million bills. As if she signed a big money deal somewhere. I don't know. The last time we saw Ted DiBiase, he was with Cameron Grimes on NXT. People were making the correlation there. Then Cassidy Haynes comes out with this, that nobody's interested in her, and the only one that she's been in talks with is Billy Corgan and the NWA. Good for him, I guess. If he picks her up, great. All I will say is this, and I'm going to add on top of what we already talked about on Wednesday, Tessa, if she wants to get back in the business and really start the healing process, she should come out and apologize for what she did. Then maybe things would get better. It's going to be up to the people to really accept the apology or not. But at the end, she apologized. She put it out there. I want to get back to work. I sincerely apologize for everything. I'm a grown woman. I've matured. The past is the past. I've called everybody, spoken to everybody that I've done harm to and said ill will about. I've talked to everybody personally. I apologize, and I love professional wrestling, and I love my fans, and I want nothing more than to get back out there and entertain you the best way that I can. Simple. It'll be up to the fans to take that or not. And Tessa Blanchard, she can let the healing begin. As long as you've said it, you put it out there, leave it in their hands, and let them do what they want with it. Because I'd love to see this woman back in a major promotion. She's not going to AEW right now because AEW is white hot. And they don't need anything derailing their momentum. They don't need anybody talking about them in a negative light. Tessa joining them would be a blemish on everything Tony Khan has built up with Bryan, with Cole, with Punk, and everybody else seemingly still on the horizon. You don't want to do that. Tessa ended up in AEW. It is the only thing they would be talking about. How could Tony Khan do it? How dare you? Tony Khan is racist and all this other shit. She'd be a huge blemish on everything that they built up. This is why I'm surprised she didn't go to WWE or WWE didn't show her any interest. When has that stopped Vince McMahon before? She could easily go to NXT. They could use her down there for sure. Mold her into what you want. I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting story, but right now the NWA is the only promotion that is talking to Tessa Blanchard. Hopefully she rights this ship and gets back out there in a major promotion and does what she does best, because I do think that she is one of the best in the world for women's professional wrestling. WWE 2K22 will feature a mode that has been absent in their series for the last 15 years. GM mode is back in 2K22. Will it be enough for me to buy the game? I don't know. Stop showing me fucking not screenshots of in-game gameplay mechanics. All you're showing me is some cinematic shit. I don't give a fuck how it looks. All I want to know is if it's fun to play. That's what I want to know. They do the same thing every year. It's built different, they say, is the new slogan, the new catchphrase. I don't give a fuck what it's built on, as long as it runs and it's fun. Graphically, listen, I'm a graphics guy. I want it to look great, but I'm not going to hinder my entire fucking, oh my God, I got to get it because it looks great. I want it to play great. I want it to be immersive. The other games have been boring. The other games have been choppy, blocky, very slow. I feel like I'm moving in goddamn quicksand when I play these goddamn games. But a new report from Mike Straw of Sports Gamers Online noted that the mode will return to the game. One source stated that the mode was a top priority for the publishers as fans wanted it, and they will make it happen for the next installment of the series. The mode sees players take control of a WWE brand and make booking and financial decisions to try to make the brand a dominant program. This mode has not been in a WWE game since 2017, as it was last seen in WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 under the title of WWE 24/7 mode. In recent years, Xavier Woods and Tyler Breeze have played the mode on Up, Up, Down, Down and made it a popular mode again. 2K Games have yet to confirm the mode in the game, but it has been noted in the past that more information about the game will start coming out around January before the release in March of 2022. I believe it was Mike Straw of Sports Gamers Online that also released an article saying that there is dissension between 2K and the publishers of the game and WWE. WWE wanted the game out for October. That was not going to happen. They asked for an extension. They were put in a situation where WWE has cut over 100 in-ring talent since last year. And all of those talent, most of those talent, were in the game. So they were already screen captured. Their entrances and their look and everything graphically has been worked on. Now they're told that this person is no longer a part of the game, a.k.a. Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, Daniel Bryan, all these guys were going to be in the game, Andrade, all these guys were going to be in the game. So how do you feel if you're 2K, knowing that these guys and all the hard work has been put in to make these guys look good in the game and give them exactly what they have to look for as far as their real-life counterparts, and now they're no longer there because WWE doesn't want them in the game, because then that means they have to pay them royalties. They're no longer a part of the company. They work for the enemy team now. They're going to be featured in the AEW game. Can you imagine the stress that 2K has been under? Can you imagine that? And WWE had the balls to say, I still want the game out in October. Don't you realize what happened with the last fucking game? And the reason why the last game failed is because you fucking rushed it out. They got the extension. March 2022, WWE had no choice. What's the big deal? AEW's game's not due out this year. Why do you need to get your game out first? If you get your game out first and it's in the position of being terrible, then that's only going to give more fuel to AEW's fire. So I'm assuming somebody level-headed came to their senses and said, well, let's wait till March 2022. AEW doesn't have their game out yet. And if we release this game and it sucks, all anybody is going to do is jump on the AEW games bandwagon, play that, and increase their sales. Meanwhile, this may be the last straw for WWE and 2K. Nobody will buy their games ever again after last year's disaster. So I'm glad to see that some cooler heads prevailed here. GM mode, is it going to be enough? I don't know. I'll check it out. But the game I'm most excited for is AEW's game, because it's a direct take on Ukes and the games that I loved growing up with on Nintendo 64. The No Mercies, the WCW vs. NWO games, the WrestleMania 2000 game. Great. Those are great games. That's the type of thing I'm looking for. And graphically, if you look at the AEW game, it looks fantastic. And it moves exactly like I remember playing No Mercy. But that's what happens when you have people who love video games behind making the video game. And you got people like Kenny Omega and everybody involved in the video game landscape having a say in what's going to be in the game and what's not going to be in the game. 2K, how long before they give up making WWE games? How long before we see an EA Sports pick up the WWE franchise? Is that going to be good for them? Who else is going to be making the game for WWE if this is the last straw for 2K? Whether this game does good or not, it may be the last straw for 2K and WWE. If it bombs, it definitely is going to be the last straw for 2K. Let them do what they have to do. When you rush, you create an environment that's not very pleasant to be in. They're making video games. They're in this industry because they love video games. I don't need Vince McMahon and management rushing the fucking project because of the shit that you caused. This is not their fault. It's going to be very interesting, man. I wonder also, additionally, if now this is being rumored, if AEW adds this mode as well, because I think Kenny Omega said that there will not be a GM mode. They released that Elite General Manager for your iPhone and Android devices. That's what they did. They made it a separate game, an iPhone game. I wonder if they added in the actual video game now. Competition is going to breed some really cool shit. If WWE has something in their game, I would like to see AEW also add it in the spirit of competition. It just doesn't sit on just main roster and AEW Dynamite. I want to see it bleed into the video games as well. We could have two great games on our hands. We don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see. GM mode is back in 2K, according to Mike Straw of Sports Gamers Online. No new information will be released until January of 22. Mick Foley. Mick Foley is in hot water with WWE. Why? Because he spoke the truth. That's why. WWE and management and Vince McMahon's clown circus, they don't like the truth. They like to hide from the truth. They like to bullshit everybody. Mick Foley explains why AEW is a problem for WWE. We've been trying to explain this for months now. Nobody seems to listen. Mick Foley took to his Facebook account this morning to release a short video talking about the problem that WWE has due to AEW. He thinks it all comes down to talent no longer aspiring to go to WWE in favor of wanting to go to AEW. I don't think that's completely the case because there will be people in this industry that want nothing more than the money and they don't care. Some people make WWE their bucket list dream. Some people want to go and try it out for themselves. Oh, it can't be as bad as everybody online says it is. I'm being paid great. I'll break through the glass ceiling. No, you won't. No, you won't. The way things sit right now, I don't know why anybody would want to end up in WWE. I don't. Maybe when Triple H was bringing NXT to the biggest name brand in WWE as far as what's happening on TV creatively, the most excitement that's been built around WWE in decades, Triple H had a hand in with NXT. I could see you maybe going there because the vision was different. The growth was different. The opportunity to break through would have been different. Now, Triple H is no longer in charge. Their vision is no midgets. Their vision is nobody under 6'2" and 240 pounds. I don't know why anybody would want to end up in WWE. It's fucked up. Yes, WWE has a problem. Talent, I think more and more talent are realizing that they value creative freedom more so than paycheck. And I do think that they realize whatever Vince McMahon is going to give me, if I'm good enough, I could get the same amount, if not better, from Tony Khan and get creative freedom. It's a win-win situation for everybody involved wanting to join AEW. Tony Khan is building his business on professional wrestling. WWE is killing their business on sports entertainment. They don't give a shit who they have. They're going to produce content because they have to for the TV networks. Tony Khan is producing content because he wants to, because professional wrestling. He would have not brought in a Bryan Danielson, a CM Punk, an Adam Cole, a Malachi Black, an Andrade, a Miro, and build all these young stars and feature them on television, making them into perennial household names like a Darby Allin and a Jungle Boy and a Sammy Guevara and a Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Hangman Page, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega. Championships mean something. We don't see rematches every week on Dynamite. Dynamite is always fresh. Not great every week, but it's always fresh. Tony Khan is building around professional wrestling. And the landscape is changing. More and more you see, more and more you read online. Fans want professional wrestling and less sports entertainment. Hello, this is the hardcore legend Mick Foley. I'd like to title this video WWE, We've Got a Problem, because I think you do. And that problem is that WWE is no longer the place for talent to aspire to be. Part of it is because AEW is doing a great job of attracting great talent, proven talent, building other talent, creating storylines. But part of the problem is your own making. I think the younger talent sees the way that developmental characters are cut or left by the wayside, or in this case, Karrion Kross, greatly watered down and even made a joke of when they debut on the main roster. If it's not broke, don't fix it. If I was an aspiring talent now, big league talent with a major decision to make, I'm not sure that I would trust WWE Creative to do the right thing with my career. You guys did wonders with me back in the day. That was a different time, a different place. If it was today, I'm not sure I would trust the powers that be with my career in their hands. And until that changes, WWE, we have a problem. End quote. I mean, Mick Foley is one of my all-time favorites. He's got me blocked on Twitter for one reason or another, but it mainly stems from the Alexa Bliss situation, as I have the DM saved, with him reaching into my DM saying that what I said was not nice at all and stupid of me to say. I still love Mick Foley. Mick Foley can prove to be smart when he wants to be. Mick Foley can prove to be dumb when he wants to be. Mick Foley can prove to be a shill when he wants to be. But in this moment, WWE has a problem, and Mick Foley knows it. Now he's in hot water for it. I don't really give a shit what type of hot water he's in. The truth needs to be said, and the truth needs to be heard. He made a great point with Karrion Kross. I mean, Karrion Kross is not the only one. Look at what they did to Keith Lee. Look at what they did to Ricochet. Look at what they did with Aleister Black. Look at what they did with Andrade. I don't even want to get started on what they were going to do to Adam Cole. Do you see Johnny Gargano or Tommaso Ciampa faring well at all on the main roster? As soon as their contracts are up in NXT, they are gone. WWE has no value in them. Johnny Gargano would be chasing R-Truth and Akira Tozawa for the 24/7 championship. Tommaso Ciampa would be probably used on 205 Live. No more at all for Tommaso Ciampa. He's already said that if he goes to the main roster, he will probably contemplate retirement because he doesn't want to be away from his family and he doesn't want to put any more added stress on his neck. The NXT schedule works wonders for him, allowing him to do what he loves to do and be at home with his daughter and his wife. Karrion Kross was made into a joke. Lost to Jeff Hardy in 90 seconds. All we were told by WWE management was, I don't know why the fans are upset. It's all a part of the story. Give it time. Be patient. Meanwhile, we see Jeff Hardy, as of Monday this past week, chasing around Akira Tozawa and R-Truth for the 24/7 championship, while Drake Maverick reemerged as the geek of them all. I'm sorry, where is the storyline with him beating Kross in 90 seconds? Is that the end-all, be-all here for Jeff Hardy? Him beating Kross has now led him to the 24/7 championship? How long before we see Kross chasing the 24/7 championship, let alone maybe him being the 24/7 champion? Then they put a fucking mask on him. A complete embarrassment. He's a meme all to himself. Ricochet has been buried. Keith Lee was demolished by creative. Adam Cole, for crying out loud, for Christ's sakes, Adam Cole was going to have a name change, and he was supposed to be Keith Lee's handler because he's too small, which I'll get into in a second. AEW comes off cool. AEW, I'm not saying AEW is not going to have a problem in the future because I do worry about all the signings that they will start to undertake. But I do think Tony Khan at the end, some contracts he's just not going to renegotiate with and he's going to let expire. The Janellas and the Sonny Kisses and the Peter Avalons and all these other people that you don't usually see on the main show. You see on Dark or Elevation. You see on the YouTube shows, right? Twitter. They handle the video game stuff. It's not going to be a situation where Tony Khan's going to release people. Tony Khan has not released anybody, even in the middle of a pandemic. The only one he released was Jimmy Havoc, and he got called out for the speaking out stuff. But look at the difference between the two companies. If Kross was in AEW, do you think Tony Khan would put him in a mask? Do you think Tony Khan would have made him into a Ninja Turtle wannabe cosplay wrestler? Do you think Tony Khan would have altered his appearance, changed his entrance, taken away the one aspect of his act that was going to make him into a major star, a.k.a. his wife? The only reason why WWE has killed all these people that I mentioned is because WWE, Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, John Laurinaitis, Kevin Dunn, Nick Khan, they didn't have a hand in creating them. They were all a product of the old NXT. And if those talent go by the wayside and they fail, it will be looked at as Triple H failing them. They weren't ready enough. They weren't big enough. They weren't main roster ready enough. They had that indie stink all over them. They won't blame themselves creatively for fucking up someone like Kross. They'll go right to blaming Triple H. Meanwhile, Mick Foley says, why do you need to change something that's not broken? We've been harping on this fact for months now, since he made his debut. Why change something that's clearly not broken? Then you got to hear from Zarian on Mat Men that people in WWE say everything needs to have marketability behind it. Marketability? The guy's a fucking joke. The guy's an embarrassment. You took something that was perfect and ruined it to sell fucking action figures? You got to get him in the audience or in front of the audience and get the audience to care about him for them to buy the fucking action figure and for them to buy the shirt. They released Kross merch recently with Scarlett's liking on it. She's not even a part of the fucking show. Where is she? Where's Ricochet? Got a modern-day superhero-like guy in Ricochet who could do things that nobody else in this industry could do. Where's he been? Main event. Where's he been? In catering. Keith Lee. They want to change Keith Lee. The fact that they want to change Keith Lee gives me some hope that they actually like Keith Lee. But how much indie stink does Keith Lee have all over him that they're trying so desperately to change him? Another guy who beat Cross, who then went away for the next 2 months. Adam Cole. Absolutely one of the best pro wrestlers on the face of this earth is now in AEW because of the creative plans that they offered him, which I would love to see his reaction to. I wish I was a fly on the wall in that creative meeting. And you opted to say, you know what? We like you, but you're asking for too much. And what he was asking for was to be a part of the main roster, give him something creatively fun to do and enthralling to do, and let him play video games on Twitch. And they didn't allow him any of that. It's almost as if they sprayed bug repellent all over Adam Cole and wanted him to go away, like he was some fucking fly buzzing around at the 4th of July barbecue that they were holding. They did everything in their power to let Adam Cole go. They showed him exactly what they thought of him. Yeah, we don't really want you, but you can take this and stay if you want. Meanwhile, he made the best creative decision of his entire career. I've been saying this for months, years. Everybody that they called up from NXT, they always had to put their own stamp or mark on it because it wasn't a Vince McMahon project. All the time you saw it. Every single instance you saw it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know it. Changing Keith Lee's theme music, adding the fucking pew, pew, pew to Ricochet's theme music, the creak when Aleister Black rose up from the smoke. Taking Zelina away from Andrade. And God knows what else I'm fucking forgetting. Changing Bobby Roode to be a baby face from his amazing heel run. Changing Shinsuke into a heel. And changing his theme music, which is some of the best written WWE themes ever. It's not broken, don't fix it. Mick Foley dropped truth on everybody, and now he's got heat for Booker T. Fucking dumbass Booker T. Even admits that Mick Foley was right. I agree with Mick Foley 100%. We need to get our asses in gear. Bottom line, he says. He says this, and I quote, first of all, he talks about the Lucha Brothers maybe being the best tag team in wrestling today. Oh, yeah, really? Clearly, you got nobody to compare to the Lucha Brothers in WWE because tag team wrestling doesn't exist there, book. The reason why I say the Lucha Brothers may be the best tag team is because wherever these guys go, if you let them, they'll get over. You know why? Because they're professional wrestlers, and they're great at what they do, and they look cool. Can you imagine Pentagon and Phoenix in WWE? My God, man, you'd be seeing Lucha House Party 2.0. They may even be added to the Lucha House Party. Oh, they wear masks? We got these two geeks, Metalik and Lindsay Dorado, wearing masks. Let's just put them together. Or they're Mexican, we'll pair them with Humberto. They'll be Humberto's distant cousins who said, hey, listen, man, I heard you talk about the catering all these years. I got to try it for myself. Anywhere they go, they get over. They get over with their fans, and they can bring a whole lot of money to your company just because people will want to support them and see them. They may be the best tag team in the world right now. Of course they are. They were part of one of the best tag team matches ever and one of the best steel cage matches ever at All Out. Then he says he agrees with Mick Foley's comments about WWE having a problem. He says this, and I quote, I want to talk about those comments because I think there's a lot of validity to those comments that Mick Foley made. It was critical in a constructive criticism way. I can't disagree with Mick Foley on anything. He's a smart dude, and he's very, very intelligent as well. He knows his stuff. He's been there. He's done it. So coming from Mick Foley, you have to take it and say, okay, let me look at this. One thing also, by the way, doesn't Mick Foley have a son who works in creative? Can you imagine the conversations at dinner with Dewey Foley and Mick Foley? My goodness, man. But what is Dewey Foley going to say? He can't say shit. Nobody's going to listen to him. He has no part in writing the show. It's all Bruce Pritchard. It's all Vince McMahon. One thing also in wrestling and young people is how things change so quickly. Just think about it. 20 years ago, UFC started. From that point, kids who were 5, 6, 7 years old, they were watching UFC. They gravitated to it. That's the only thing they wanted to do. It was something new to them. Right now, AEW is in its infancy stages, but you have a lot of young kids. The first time they're watching professional wrestling, the first time they're seeing may not be WWE. It may be AEW. If you're not thinking about that kind of stuff, that kind of generational gap, you may be missing the boat. As far as what Mick Foley said about Karrion Kross, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. How many times have I said that? If it's working, you don't touch it. You leave it alone. If you can enhance it, you enhance it and make it better. But you don't take anything away from it. That's just my opinion. I agree with Mick Foley 100%. We need to get our ass in gear, bottom line, end quote. So clearly he's telling you where his allegiance lies with the we need to get our asses in gear. The we need means he's WWE. So every time you hear him talk about, oh, Adam Cole should have went to New Japan Pro Wrestling, that means he doesn't really give a shit about Adam Cole because he doesn't want to feed any AEW any more top-tier elite talent. And when he said whatever he said about the last thing he said about CM Punk, clearly this was a WWE-filled agenda podcast that he talked about Punk and how he ragged on Punk's initial debut in the United Center and said that I was expecting a pipe bomb, but there he is mentioned in WWE again when he didn't fucking mention them by name. Booker T. Seems like he knows that they have a problem. But again, what is Booker T going to say? What is Booker T going to do? We've been saying this for years. If it's not broke, don't fix it. How many times have we said, take the NXT model and move it to the main roster? This boils down to it being Vince McMahon's show, and he doesn't want to be upstaged by anybody. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Matt Bloom, William Regal, and everybody else that's a part of the NXT machine. He changed everything because he had no say in anything that went on. Why didn't we see the Demon when we saw Finn Balor on the main roster? The Demon was an NXT thing. The Demon was a Triple H thing. Balor was never going to do the Demon on main roster because why would Vince do that? We could have still seen the Demon as much as we did in NXT on the main roster. How many times have we seen it on the main roster? 1 or twice? And they only did it because, hey, it's good marketability. But NXT made it special. They did it perfect. Smiley Finn. How many times did we say Finn Balor was a fucking walking underwear model / toothpaste ad? All he did was smile. With Kevin Dunn's nice crotch shot of him on the ring apron. Yes, they have a fucking problem. And the generational gap that Booker T is talking about, I mentioned this weeks ago. I know people that have kids that no longer watch WWE because of how uncool it is. They're finding things more cool. Like AEW, like UFC. And these kids, they're 5, 6, 7 years old. They dressed up as Finn Balor for Halloween and they were all over Finn Balor and Seth Rollins. Not anymore. If you're a young child and you're watching whatever your father is watching, pro wrestling, and it's AEW, and you watch WWE side by side, which one are you going to watch? If you're a 5, 6-year-old child, who are you going to go out there and watch? Darby Allin? Or are you going to go out there and watch Dominic Mysterio? You're going to go out there and watch Seth Rollins. WWE is moving away from that generational gap. They're missing the boat. They have missed the boats as far as that is concerned. They cater to the families. They don't try to be cool. They don't try to be in. They don't try to be the now. Their mentality is all skewed right now. They are deviating away from the core audience that is professional wrestling, and whatever the fuck they're catering to doesn't even have a glimpse of interest in what they're doing. That's it. Before long, all the families and all the kids, they'll see the WWE product and they'll get a little bit older. It may take a year, 2 years, 3 years, but when they find AEW, they're going to ask themselves, why did I ever watch that WWE product? They're going to go right back and watch pro wrestling with the AEW show. That's what they're really That's what they're really doing, WWE. They're walking that very, very thin line. They're not thinking about that now. Instead of using AEW as competition and using them as a fountain of ideas, maybe we should do this. Maybe we should look this way. Maybe we should start pushing young talent like them. Maybe we should end the fucking brand split. Look at the roster they have, and they got 3 hours of weekly television. It won't be that way for long. As long as Dynamite doesn't go 3 hours. Rampage is inevitably going 2 hours at a different time slot on a different night. They need to step up the game. No youth has been built. Roman Reigns is still without a predecessor. Who's taking over for Roman Reigns? Has anybody in WWE asked that question? You can feed Roman all you want. Bryan, Edge, Cena, Lesnar, Rollins, Cesaro, Rey Mysterio, Kevin Owens, fucking Jey and Jimmy Uso, Nakamura, Finn Balor. You can feed him whoever the fuck you want. But when he inevitably beats The Rock, who do you have lined up to take Roman's spot? It better be somebody bigger than Roman. Because if it isn't, what's the point? What's the point? That next guy should already be on your roster. I can't tell who the fuck that is. It's not Big E. It's not Kofi. It's not Xavier Woods. That person may not even be in the WWE. That's the fucking dilemma that they're looking at. Who do you have to replace Roman? Who do you have underneath Roman that is even capable of being a solid number 2 on SmackDown? That's not named Brock Lesnar. I'm talking full-time youth. Nobody. Who after Bobby Lashley's on Monday Night Raw? Nobody. You got your Styles, you got your Ortons. Nobody. You could have had that in Bebe. But they didn't want Bebe on their show to wrestle. They wanted him as a manager for Keith Lee. They got a fucking problem. And now WWE's not happy about it because Andrew Zarian talked about this on the Matt Man podcast. He said that there are people in the company who are unhappy about what he said. Why? Because he spoke the truth and it fucking hurt and it made you look stupid? Why do we need Mick Foley, a WWE Hall of Famer, to come out and tell you what the fuck you're doing wrong? Shouldn't you already know? Who's upset? Don't you think we as fans are upset? If anybody should be pissed, it's us. You have no fucking reason to be upset. You're getting everything you want. Your pockets are lined with green. The stock is doing great. You're upset at Mick Foley. Here's a fucking clue. Write good television and people will watch. And Mick Foley won't have to go on Facebook and tell you that you're doing a shit job. Let's talk about this Mick Foley video, says Andrew Zarian. People are very unhappy at WWE that he put that video out. I'm not going to say who told me this, but there is like an unwritten rule with these legends where you can't disparage the company in any way. Boxes of Kleenex are on sale, 2 for $4 at CVS. Let me go buy all of WWE management several boxes. Wipe up those fucking salty tears, you fucking inept geeks. Because he disparaged the company. You don't think you disparage us every Monday night for 3 hours? How do you look at that show and not agree with Mick Foley? How do you watch All Out and not agree with Mick Foley? Then I gotta hear WWE, Adam Cole, whatever. Bryan Danielson, they're not big losses. We don't consider AEW competition. Everything is competition. The NBA, the NFL, the MLB. Sleep is our competition. Yeah. Sleep wouldn't be your competition if you didn't put people to fucking sleep for 3 hours every Raw. And that was pretty disparaging about what he said. He was pretty blatant about saying we're not doing good stuff here, guys. Maybe that's exactly what they need. Maybe somebody with the fucking balls backstage should go to Vince McMahon and say, Vince, what we're doing is not good. Can we please maybe reroute and go in a different direction? Following his comments on Facebook, Foley went on Sean Waltman's podcast and doubled down and said that WWE also watered down Keith Lee. He specifically mentioned how WWE decided to cover him up with new gear and how they changed his music. He says, and I quote, "I love the company. I really do. I think they need to hear it. If I texted Vince, that's one thing, and that might be effective. But I think he needs to get out there. Or this needs to get out there. If it embarrasses them, I think that's okay. I look at Keith Lee, and I look at how dynamic he was. I know Keith Lee has had some health problems, but it's like the guy comes out, you don't know what he's got. You haven't done enough research to know that he's a big dude, and now you want to cover him up. That's part of his appeal, that he's loud and proud, and for whatever reason, his incredible ring entrance music was taken away." End quote. Mick Foley is not the only WWE Hall of Famer who has expressed concern. Like I just said, Booker T went on his podcast this week and agreed with Mick Foley. I mean, if you guys don't see the burial of Keith Lee, I'm not even talking about the COVID shit. This is pre-COVID. This is pre-COVID complications. They changed his music. Oh, but JD, they don't have the licensing agreement for CFO money. I don't give a fuck. Clearly, they're still using CFO money theme music because I hear Bianca Belair's fucking theme music every goddamn week. We got Rick Boogs playing Shinsuke Nakamura's CFO money theme music on electric guitar every fucking week. Matt Riddle comes out to his CFO money theme. So does Shayna Baszler. So don't tell me that they changed it because of licensing and money issues. They changed it because they just love to change with absolutely no reason. They changed his money. He made his debut after he lost to Cross and dropped the world title to Cross. That Monday, he showed up on Raw with new theme music, but I'm like, I just heard this guy's theme music on Saturday night for TakeOver when he lost to Cross, and now he's got new theme music. You couldn't use that new theme music on Monday night yet to go with something else completely generic, as if we're watching a fucking in-game theme music editor for WWE 2K? Then you want to cover him up and put a fucking singlet on him. Then you want him to change his in-ring style. You don't want him to work a crazy, quick indie style, flipping around and doing this and doing that. Planches and moonsaults and dives and throwing his weight around and showing off how athletic he is and all this speed that he possesses. You want him to work like Mark Henry. You want it to work like Big Show. You want it to work like... That's what you want him to work like. That's what you want him to work, what? I don't understand you. You want him to work within those boundaries. Nobody wants to see him do that. Nobody. This is what brought this guy to the dance. That's what made him appealing. That's what made him different. You had this guy in a Survivor Series one-on-one clash with NXT versus SmackDown with Roman Reigns as his final opponent. And did you see him do anything but what brought him to the dance? I don't know why you would take that and change it when he got a standing ovation and Roman shook his hand at the end of that match. I don't know how you listen to Mick Foley and disagree with anything he said. It might not have been an overabundance of fucking examples, but I mean, Karrion Kross and Keith Lee are two of the biggest examples that you could possibly give everybody about WWE taking and changing for the sake of changing, and WWE not knowing what to do with prime talent when they could have already had the guy that succeeds Roman Reigns. They are shit out of luck. Now Keith Lee, no matter how hard you try, will never be the same as when he got called up and everybody was excited. All you did was bury this guy up until February. Then he got sick and he will never recover. He will never recover. Cross will never recover. Ricochet is as dead as released. These guys are done. Didn't hear stories of Kevin Owens wanting out. Good. Good. How many KO shows do we fucking need to see every week? Is that all he's worth? Kevin Owens shows? This guy was in a major program with Roman Reigns, and he shined in every match he did with Roman, showing you exactly that as a main event guy. And I said then what I'm going to say now. It's WWE's job to take Kevin Owens and the work that he did and how great he showed you he could be, and it's your job to take him and make him into a main event guy. Did they do it? No. They did not. They did not. They put him right back in the mid-card where they think he belongs. So if he leaves WWE, good. What did you do to show him that you value him? Nothing. And a guy like that who's been loyal, you're going to let walk? A guy like that that's defended the company, tooth and nail, stuck up for the good morals of everybody in that locker room with the mask mandates and the COVID shit and everybody looking at him as a spokesman during the pandemic. You're going to let him walk? You're going to let him walk. Why? Because he's too indie? The reason you're not using him is because he's too indie. He's fat. He's a bigger guy. He doesn't work the WWE style. Someone like that, no matter how small you think he is, someone like that is going to have an influential fucking feel about him when he walks out the door. You don't think with him walking out the door, it's like the last of the Mohicans over there? Who else follows him after he walks out? Sami Zayn, Ricochet. Who's to say Keith Lee doesn't walk out? Who's to say Cross doesn't walk out when his contract is up, knowing what they're doing to him? Kevin Owens walking out could set off a fucking trail of dynamite that you don't want right now. And quite frankly, you can't afford to have happen. Mick Foley has been correct in the little that he said on Waltman and Facebook. How much trouble is WWE in? I'm not one to brag about the fucking ratings, but I'm going to say exactly what I say for Raw and SmackDown when they pop a big rating for season premiere or whatever the case may be. AEW's been fairly consistent. There may be a week or two where they didn't break 1 million. They've been pretty consistent with the 1 million mark. And I know Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson, they made their Dynamite debuts. They were coming off a monumental, historic night. Everybody wanted to watch and see what was going on. AEW, I'm not going to give them preferential treatment here. I'm going to put them in line with WWE and Raw. If they continue to do what they did this past Wednesday, second weekend, third weekend, fourth weekend, that's when we know we have a substantial gain in viewership. I'm not going to take the rating for Dynamite this past Wednesday as, oh my God, let's put them on Monday Night Raw and have them compete against Raw. Dynamite drew 1.319 million viewers, which goes in line with exactly Mick Foley and what he said. They got a problem. They have a problem. This is up from the 1.047 million viewers the show did last week. This was the second highest viewership number in the history of the show. They beat Monday Night Raw. All 3 hours of Raw. In the 18 to 49 demo, the show did a 0.53. In the 18 to 49 demo, which is up from 0.37 the show did last week. Dynamite edged out this past Monday's episode of Raw in the demo with 681,000 viewers, as Raw did a 0.52, which comes in at 678,000 viewers. Dynamite was easily ranked the number one show on cable in the top 150 for Wednesday night. That is the same number one ranking they were at last week. They did a 0.53 in the 18 to 49. Male viewers did a 0.75. The 50 plus did a 0.48. Male viewers 12 to 34, a 0.32. Viewers 25 to 54, a 0.26. And the female viewership 18 to 49 was 0.30. This was an all-out post-show edition of Dynamite. Malachi Black beat Dustin Rhodes. Jon Moxley beat Minoru Suzuki. Ruby Soho beat Jamie Hayter. Will Hobbs beat Dante Martin. Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson, CM Punk also made appearances on the show, with Danielson himself pretty much wanting and asking for a match against Kenny Omega for the AEW Championship, which got everybody hard. Legitimately. Dynamite was awesome on Wednesday night. The one thing I want to say to everybody is I'm not giving preferential treatment to AEW. If they do a 1.319 or higher next week, then we know we're on to something. More than likely, the rating is going to dip. The ratings go up and down every fucking week. They could show up at a 1.1 next week, and that's going to trigger all the haters. Ha, ha, ha! Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson are not draws. Who's to say people aren't watching on DVR? Who's to say people had something else to do that night and did not get a chance to watch? Who gives a shit? Whatever they are doing is sitting pretty with TNT. TNT is over the fucking moon, ready to give these guys more money when their TV rights deal expires. That's the end game here. All of the investment that Tony Khan is bringing to AEW will pay off 10 times over when he nets a nice, cool 5-year, $300 to $400 million TV rights deal for AEW. Punk already had his contract paid for because All Out did over 200,000 buys. And their pay-per-view model gives you the opportunity to get excited, to get you involved with the build. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's just right. If All Out did 200,000, then the next show is going to be in line with that, because every pay-per-view that AEW has done has only increased, and I see Full Gear being better than All Out as far as buys are concerned. But the problem is, going back to Booker T and going back to Mick Foley, you know, for all these people that say, oh, Raw this, and the excuses about Raw, and it's still not Raw or SmackDown or whatever the case may be, Monday Night Raw has been on the air for 28 years. Give or take, 28, 29 years, okay? AEW has been around, come October, what is it, 2 years? We're coming up on a 2-year anniversary for AEW. And they're already generating bigger ratings than they did in their debut year. They've only increased. Look at these demos. Look at the pay-per-view buys. Look at the interest. Look at the social media interactions. Look at the analytics on YouTube. Look at every single analytic number as it pertains to AEW, with this rating at 1.319 million on Wednesday night to tune in to a show after a historic pay-per-view that saw 3 big names, 1 wrestling, 2 debuting, who are absolute game changers, show up for the enemy, quote-unquote, team. Because WWE didn't want them. You think AEW is not doing good? For all the geeks out there that want to say, oh, they haven't gained an audience, they're not building a new audience. Really? So on the flip side, I can tell you that WWE is losing an audience. WWE is not maintaining the audience that they have now. WWE certainly isn't building new fucking interest. WWE isn't bringing in new fans to their overall dying creative product. But you got a problem with AEW when they dip after a 1.3. Next week they do a 1.2, 1.1. Everybody's going to have fuel for the ammunition to hate on AEW. Meanwhile, they've been around for 2 years and they're already getting higher 18 to 49 demographics than a 29-year staple on USA Network. But you want to cry to me that they're not building a fucking fan base. They're not building new eyes and a new audience. So what exactly is Monday Night Raw doing? What exactly is Monday Night Raw doing? What is Vince doing? What is Bruce doing? They're killing the fucking show is what they're doing. Let Tony Khan handle his business, because clearly he knows what he's doing. On the flip side, Vince, Nick, and Bruce don't know what the fuck they're doing. The only thing that they know how to do is increase their bank account. Good for them. I couldn't give a jack shit worth of what their net worth is. I want good television. Here's the fucking thing, geeks. If WWE wrote better television, I'd complain less and people would watch more. There's a reason why SmackDown is watched more than Raw, because A, WWE puts more effort into SmackDown. B, they're on Fox. That does help too. But if you think WWE evened out the effort to show Monday Night Raw just a little bit more than what they're doing now, to bring it on par with SmackDown, don't you think it would be a better show for it? It's almost as if they abandoned Monday Night Raw and said, you know what? I don't care. I don't care. And all this talk about them selling to Disney, I don't want to hear people in the comments. It was from Slice Wrestling. Are you fucking serious? You're going to read a report and believe a report from Slice Wrestling? Maybe you should go walk to the nearest pizzeria and go buy yourself a fucking pizza slice and decompress for a little bit. Why the fuck are you on Twitter? Get the fuck off Twitter and stop believing these goddamn geeks who don't know shit and have zero sources. WWE may be selling to Disney for all we know, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. They're certainly setting themselves up with the position that they're in to do so. Stop looking at Tony Khan and Dynamite's numbers and stop telling me that they're not gaining an audience when we all know that Monday Night Raw is doing the opposite and losing their audience every week. Every week. Backstage WWE reaction to CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, and Adam Cole signing with AEW. What's the backstage reaction? Do they miss them? Is there any regret for Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole joining AEW, signing with AEW? AEW's momentum is at an all-time high after Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson, and CM Punk himself wrestled after 7.5 years at All Out on Sunday night. Now, they made their debut, and people in WWE management are reportedly not too worried about the recent defections. They're not worried. You should be worried, because I don't see you doing anything to combat the creative on AEW side to make your show better. Ringside News is reporting that Cole making the jump to AEW is not seen as a big deal. Clearly, if they are saying that, I believe it. Because what did they do? They didn't present him with a big deal offer. They were like, we like you, Austin. We like you. We want to keep you. But I don't think you're going to be good enough to be in our ring. We want you to manage Keith Lee, and we're going to change your name and put you on Monday Night Raw because we can't have two Coles on the main roster. We already got Michael Cole. You can't be Adam Cole. You may be Austin Bebe. I don't know what the fuck they would have named him or what they would have changed his name to, but clearly it's not seen as a big deal if they let him walk because they were going to do that. They wanted to change his name, and they didn't really do anything to bend a knee and allow him to play video games. Never would I have thought in a million years that playing Super Mario Brothers on Twitch would net you a fucking shitty creative idea and a boot out the WWE door. It's unbelievable. Yet I'm supposed to believe this is a pro wrestling company when you allowed one of the best pro wrestlers in the world to walk out and then have the balls to say, yeah, it's not a big deal. He's good, but he's not a big deal. Tenured member of the writing team was quoted saying, no one here views it as a big loss. Whether that's right or wrong, that's the mentality. Well, that's because Adam Cole is 5'8" and 185 pounds. That's why. But if he was a Gable Steveson, forget about it. He'd be on the main event within a week. It's clear that Cole was never going to be slotted in the main event as a main event guy on WWE television since it was pitched for him to become the manager of Keith Lee on the main roster, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Ringside News first reported this news on Wednesday about the creative pitch for Cole to be a manager, and Dave Meltzer followed it up on Thursday by reporting that Cole would have managed Keith Lee. In regards to CM Punk, it was reported that Ringside News has stated WWE has no interest in Punk, and even less for Phil Brooks as a human being. Punk has not had nice things to say about WWE, and justifiably so, since they almost fucking killed him and fired him on his wedding day since he left in 2004, so those comments do not come as much of a surprise. For what it's worth, the belief in WWE is that Vince McMahon does not watch AEW. He didn't even watch NXT. The only reason why he knew of NXT is because they were losing to AEW. He better start watching AEW. But I know he's got geeks on his squad watching for him. They have to be. I don't believe that shit at all. They're not watching AEW. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. You want to brag about being on social media, but then you don't want to admit that AEW stole your SummerSlam thunder. Your entire summer of Cena was fucking falling by the wayside for the summer of Punk, too. And then with All Out. And everything else that's going to follow after All Out. So he's not aware of the buzz that the company's generating right now. WWE continues to rake in record profits, which is all that they care about. Primarily from their TV deals and their shows in Saudi Arabia. And there's no sign that they are going to be in any financial trouble in the near future. What may start to raise some eyebrows is if AEW continues to draw in more fans. This week's Dynamite beat Raw in the 18-49 demo. If this continues, then it will make things interesting when networks bid on pro wrestling during the next TV contract negotiations. You know, I said this on Wednesday. We talked about a little bit of this. Punk is Punk. WWE didn't want Punk. I know Fox was upset because they had Punk. But Fox can't be upset at WWE for not signing Punk because Punk was never going to go back there. That's a lose-lose situation. WWE has this petty fucking attitude towards Phil Brooks. It's their fucking loss because there's no doubt in my mind that CM Punk would have been great for WWE television. And if he went there, yes, it would have been less than what he's doing now, but it would have absolutely enhanced their television. Would he be used the same way? Would he be treated like a top guy? No and no. Tony Khan has already made him the face of the company. Tony Khan is banking on him alone to take them to the next level. Everybody else is a background supporting player right now. Right now. And Punk clearly has not missed a single step in 7.5 years if you watch his match against Darby Allin. So CM Punk being back with WWE would have absolutely been a game changer for them. Now, minus that aside, because he was never going to go back there. Bryan Danielson could have went back there. He opted not to go. WWE offered him wrestling in New Japan. WWE offered him money and everything that comes along with it. But what is there for Bryan Danielson to do in WWE? This is when I say, and why I say, money isn't everything. For someone like that, who wants to take the easy way out as long as he's paid, he opted to go and work with young talent and continue to work a stiffer and more intense style in AEW than stay in the WWE. And when things calm down with the pandemic, he'll be right over in New Japan wrestling Okada and Ibushi and Jay White and Tanahashi and Naito and Evil and everybody else that comes along with New Japan's ranks. He'll be in the G1 Climax. WWE was going to offer him to do that. But then they realized, if I offer you that, is that going to open the door for everybody else? If we offer you that, how are we going to get you to be exclusive and New Japan exclusive to WWE? Are we going to be able to take that away from AEW? So there would have been a thing there. That's mainly on New Japan's side. Then New Japan is very loyal. They're not going to do anything that disobeys or goes against the loyalty that they have with one over the other. Vince can fucking scream to the heavens. He's not going to change New Japan's mind. Nick Khan can negotiate whatever the fuck he wants. He's not going to change the minds of the people that run New Japan. So yeah, Vince may have said that to Daniel Bryan, but how likely was that to happen for Daniel Bryan? And if he goes back to WWE, where would he end up? There was nothing for him to do on SmackDown. He did everything he could do. Wrestled Edge, wrestled Roman Reigns. What else was there for him to do? If you go to Raw, what is he going to do? Wrestle Lashley? Wrestle Styles? Do what? How long before that gets boring? How long before he's in the ring with Styles? 16 fucking times before the end of the year. And that one match that we all want to see him and Styles together in a major situation, it'll be burnt out by then. I'll tell you what, we're not going to get Omega Bryan 16 fucking times. We're going to get it once, maybe. And that's a very big maybe. Twice. There's just more for him to do. He wanted to push his limits. He wanted to do more. He wanted to work with new talent. He wanted to work with talent that's not the same every fucking week. Because you know that bothers everybody. He wants to work with the young up-and-coming talent and make them into household names. Because, by God, he loves professional wrestling. Adam Cole. I don't need to tell you about Adam Cole joining AEW because that's exactly where he needed to be. There's no reason There's no reason why WWE should shun someone like Adam Cole. It's out of sheer hatred for the wrestling industry. The fact that they did not embrace someone like Adam Cole and the fact that they had someone like Adam Cole in their grasp, that's all you need to know. They hate professional wrestling. With them shunning Adam Cole and them giving Adam Cole those proposed plans, they hate professional wrestling. Letting Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson walk into AEW. Now, they may have put more effort into Bryan than they did Cole, but to allow them to walk into AEW and then turn around and say it's not a big deal, that, to me, I'm a huge Braves fan. The 1996 Atlanta Braves pitching staff is some of the best pitching staff you'll ever see, ever. Greg Maddux, John Smoltz won 24 games that year. I believe Maddux was 19-2, if I'm not mistaken, that year, with a sub-1.6 ERA. John Smoltz won 24 games and the National League Cy Young that year. Tom Glavine, who's a legend in Atlanta, 20 games. They even brought Denny Nagel over from Pittsburgh, and he won 20 games. And 4 20-game winners in a 5-man rotation. Those 4 men accumulated for 80 wins on their way to a World Series, which they inevitably lost to the Yankees. So much for that. But what I'm trying to say is that would be like WWE being the Braves, allowing Greg Maddux and John Smoltz into free agency, allowing them to sign with the Yankees, and then come back and say, yeah, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Are you serious? Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think John Smoltz rather won the Cy Young that year. It might have been Maddux with the 19-2 record. Either way, you guys get my point. Here I am fucking talking about stats and records and ERAs and baseball, Maddux and John Smoltz. That would be like the Braves allowing John Smoltz and Greg Maddux to walk into an enemy stadium. That's not a big deal. We got to play him. We got to play him 15, 16 fucking times this year, but it's not a big deal. Not a big deal. You fucking kidding me? Of course it's a big fucking deal. Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole are not big deals. Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega is not a big deal. Worldwide headlines. I don't see you duplicating anything like that in WWE. Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole. Adam Cole and Hangman Page. Adam Cole and anybody, really. Pull the fucking mannequin out of the Victoria's Secret window. Put him in the ring with Adam Cole. 5-star match. Adam Cole was a part of one of the best stables in WWE history and gave us one of the greatest productions as far as match goes in WWE history with Johnny Gargano at TakeOver New York. 2 out of 3 falls. And you didn't look at this guy as a perennial main event WrestleMania main event guy? You just tossed away a National League Cy Young to free agency for AEW to sign, and you don't care about it. I'm sorry. WWE is doing what they're doing now and allow that to happen. They don't give a shit about us. They don't give a shit about pro wrestling. And the only thing that they give a shit about is the money that they're taking in, because there's going to be suckers out there that continue to spend money on this product. And I'm hearing more and more people not watching the show because of their attitude as of late towards the overall business and the negligence to pro wrestling. This is a real thing. The burnout, never mind the burnout, the frustration and the sadness that WWE has brought upon us has now shifted us to somewhere else. And where that somewhere else is, they're doing everything that we want WWE to do. But WWE is run by a 76-year-old senile, demented old fuck who has nothing more than his own visions in his mind. It's his own virtual playground, WWE. He's going to do what he wants to make himself happy. Us, as long as we give him our money, he doesn't give a shit about us. Losing Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole is absolutely a game-changing situation in every sense of the word. If you don't think that, I don't know, man. Maybe you need to go have your fucking head checked. Your IQ is as little as this can of seltzer right here. Kevin Owens. He may be the next to walk out. Kevin Owens' contract is set to expire a lot sooner than we all have thought. Kevin Owens tweeted and deleted the coordinates to Mount Rushmore. And the tweet is causing many to speculate that he is on his way out of WWE and possibly looking to sign with AEW. For those that are unaware, Owens, as Kevin Steen, was in the Mount Rushmore stable with the Young Bucks and Adam Cole prior to signing with WWE. For what it's worth, Owens said in 2018 that he had signed the 5-year extension with WWE, and if that was true, that would mean his contract would be up until 2023. But Owens could have been working then when he did the interview, or there was something written in the contract that would let him opt out early. Rey Mysterio, Booyaka, for example, had an opt-out option after 18 months on his previous contract. A granted release request is also possible. Another thing worth noting is that Owens has updated his Twitter profile to say almost there in the location section. If he does indeed leave WWE, then one has to assume that AEW would be very interested in signing him. Owens has not commented on the rumors, and he will not comment on the rumors. Fightful is reporting that Owens' WWE deal is up in January. That is much sooner than the 5-year extension he said that he signed with in 2018. Fightful also added that WWE reconstructed contracts during the pandemic, and Owens' deal was changed and now is set to expire in 2022, January. There was no word on why his deal was shortened. Obviously, Owens would garner interest from AEW if he opts not to sign a new WWE deal. It is noted that he has not signed a new deal by now because WWE usually tries to lock wrestlers up in several months before their contracts are up. This news certainly gives more context to Owens' recent social media activity. For those of you that missed it, obviously, there has been deleted tweets, which I'm sure you can find online, about Owens hinting that he wants to end up in AEW. During Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer discussed Owens' current situation. He also mentioned that Owens doesn't have the same complaint as a lot of superstars because the company doesn't restrict his promos as much since they trust him. He says, and I quote, "The reality with Kevin Steen is that he's one of the least scripted guys in WWE. He's like Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, and John Cena, where they just let him be, do a lot more and say what he thinks because they do have confidence in his talking ability." End quote. I said this before, letting someone like that walk out of the company, it may set off a string of dynamite that you do not want and do not need right now. He may be the last of the Mohicans in WWE. One will lead to the other, and with Owens leads to Zayn, Zayn leads to somebody else, so on and so forth. Those names are unknown at this point. It is too early for anybody to be talking to Kevin Owens. It is right now all speculation. It is all hearsay. Fightful put this out there, so I'm assuming that it's legit. But nobody can talk to Kevin Owens until January 2022. It's not like he's going to join AEW in time for Full Gear. It's not like he's jumping ship next month. It's not going to happen. Everything that is said right now, he cannot talk to them until his contract is up in January of 2022. I want to throw that out there. But the thing that I mentioned in regards to Kevin Owens is if WWE, this is a main roster guy. This is not Pete Dunne. This is not Adam Cole, where these contracts were just up. This is not Aleister Black thinking that he had a 90-day and then he read the contract and was still an NXT contract while he was on the main roster. Somewhere, someone fucked up. He got a 30-day and that's why he showed up in Miami a month and a half ago for AEW. To everybody's surprise. I don't think WWE is as negligent as they have been with the contracts on the main roster. But I do think that if WWE had any value in Kevin Owens, or they had a future in line for Kevin Owens and wanted to build around him and didn't want him to leave, don't you think they would have sat this guy down already? It's already September, October, November, December. This guy's got 3 months left on his WWE deal. Sami Zayn reportedly has his deal up in the fall, which could be between now and November. We don't know. But if WWE valued either Owens or Zayn enough, don't you think they would have sat them down and re-signed them to new deals? If WWE had plans for them in the future, wanted to build these shows around these types of guys, don't you think they would have sat them down and renegotiated a deal right now? They may not accept the deal initially, but we could be in round 2, round 3 of negotiations. Do whatever you got to do. Talk whatever you got to talk to get the deal done. They haven't even negotiated with him yet. His contract remains unsigned. Now, again, we don't know if that has actually happened, but from the report here, WWE has not negotiated, or at least tried to, with Kevin Owens, and they do know that his deal is coming up. Is this going to fall in line with what Vince McMahon said? Maybe we could give AEW more talent. The longer this goes on, the more it benefits Kevin Owens. Maybe he wants to stay. Maybe he wants to stay. Maybe he uses AEW for leverage to get more money out of WWE. But I don't see Kevin Owens as a money guy. I don't see Kevin Owens as a WWE guy either. Kevin Owens wanted to be in WWE because it was a lifelong dream, pipe dream. He named his son Owen after Owen Hart. He wanted to be in WWE. He wanted to reap the benefits of being in WWE. He wanted to be at WrestleMania. He wanted to be in the spotlight. He wanted to be in major programs. He wanted to make the money. He did all that. He's been there what seems like forever. How much longer does he need to be there? And how much longer do we need to see WWE not value him and put him in the ring doing Kevin Owens skits on the Kevin Owens show? WWE had every opportunity to build this guy into a main event name after his feud with Roman Reigns, and they did not do it. He's floundered ever since. Yeah, we'll put him in the ring at WrestleMania against Sami Zayn. They're best friends. We'll do Logan Paul. We'll put him in a feud with Baron Corbin. That's a company that values Kevin Steen? If Kevin Steen walks, he's walking right into AEW. And WWE will probably say, yeah, it's not a big deal. But it is absolutely a big deal because Steen will lead to Zayn. Zayn will lead to Ricochet. You don't think someone like that walking out is going to have a ripple effect in that locker room with all guys that resemble people like Kevin Owens? You don't think Kevin Owens walking out is like a last of the Mohicans type of deal? Kevin Owens is either going to walk into AEW or he's going to be the one guy that breaks through the glass ceiling and is the highest paid NXT guy ever to come from that brand. The highest paid indie guy ever. That works for WWE. But I don't think his heart is going to be in WWE because he's accomplished everything. He's won world championships. He's been at WrestleMania. I don't know. It's either going to be Owens or Balor that become the biggest indie names signed to a WWE contract. Well, like I said, Owens leads to Zayn. Zayn leads to Ricochet. Ricochet leads to Balor. It's going to be a ripple effect that they don't need right now. AEW can't sign them all, but this is why the forbidden door exists. And he's walking into something that right now is white hot. And he's walking into something that, with his inclusion, will make all the sense in the world. He knows that. Tony Khan knows it. Matt and Nick Jackson know it. And WWE knows it too, even though they probably will not admit it. Kevin Owens is more valuable than what WWE has done with him in the last 3 years, probably longer. If he walks, a lot of other people behind him may do the same thing, and at this point, I can't blame them at all. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on the second half of the podcast. This is episode 390 of Off the Script for September 11th, 2021. Today sponsored by my great friends over at Manscaped, manscaped.com. Use code SCRIPT20 to save 20% off. I want you guys to kick your pubes into the next planet with the Performance Package 4.0. The orbits in your pants will make you feel like you're in zero gravity when you use the best tools for the job from the leaders in male grooming, used by over 2 million men worldwide. Now, what is included in this Performance Package 4.0? Well, you get the new Lawnmower 4.0, a 4th generation trimmer that features cutting-edge ceramic blades to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor, a new multi-function on and off switch that can engage with a travel lock as well. It's even waterproof. It is also coming with a 4,000K LED spotlight that you can turn on and off when needed for a more precise shave throughout your travels across the universe. Also, you guys are going to get the Weed Whacker. It's like having a little astronaut chop your worst weeds up in the top of your nose and in your ear. It is also waterproof, and it uses a 9,000 RPM motor, and that is powered by a 360-degree rotary dual-blade system. This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology as well, which helps prevent nicks, snags, tugs in all of those delicate places. You guys are also going to get the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and their Crop Reviver to help your little planets be on their A-game while feeling the sun's heat. Manscaped even threw in their new boxer briefs and shed travel bag. And let me tell you, man, the boxer briefs are absolutely comfortable. They are. They're really, really comfortable. Get 20% off, guys. Use code SCRIPT20 at manscaped.com. You're going to save 20% off. Get free shipping. Script20 at manscaped.com. Your dick and balls need some help. I know. For a little clean Trinity and beyond, your space balls will thank you when you use Manscaped. That's manscaped.com. Use code SCRIPT20 at checkout to save 20% off. I love Manscaped, man. They've been so great to me, and we signed on with them for another year, so it's going to be awesome. Thank you guys for always supporting my sponsors here in the OTS family. Let me take a sip of my cold beverage, man. I'm drinking a little bit of the bubbly. Not Jericho's, but white peach and ginger. It's good for my voice. It's good for my voice, man. You know, when Vince wants to get me angry, I need some honey and ginger, you know? Speaking of angry, man, I was angry when I read this, and then I laughed. It turned into comedy for me. WWE wanted to change Adam Cole's name and make him a heel manager for Keith Lee. Now, last month, WrestlingNews.co, I know, I'm trying not to laugh. Last month, WrestlingNews.co reported on plans to repackage Keith Lee as a heel on the main roster. When that happens, I don't know. On Wrestling Observer Live, Meltzer added that more details are coming out about the story, and the plans included Adam Cole to be paired with Keith Lee. Now, the idea was that Cole would have his name changed because they already have a Cole, Michael Cole, on the main roster. He's the lead play-by-play guy for SmackDown with Pat McAfee. Meltzer said this. They were going to bring him up, and the idea was to turn Keith Lee heel and have Adam Cole be his heel manager, and probably with a different name because of the last name Cole. With the idea kind of like a Lio Rush, Bobby Lashley thing, where you have this little guy who is a big talker and hides behind this massive African-American guy. This is Meltzer's wording, not mine. That type of thing. That was the dynamic that they were looking for with Adam Cole, more as a manager than a wrestler. End quote. Meltzer also said that this was not the idea that creative came up with, and it was more from Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard. One person told me that it was Bruce Pritchard's idea, and another person told me that it was Vince's idea, Meltzer stated. End quote. Based on that, it is obviously clear that Adam Cole made the right decision career-wise to leave WWE. He's already being positioned as a big-time player, and he's already a part of the elite. He will be wrestling Frankie Kazarian on Wednesday's Dynamite in his AEW debut. Meanwhile, Keith Lee, he has not graduated from main event on Peacock, and WWE is continuing to try and change him to reintroduce him to live television. Clearly, they don't have an idea what to do with anybody, never mind Keith Lee and Adam Cole. I don't know what else to say on top of what I've already said about this. I talked about him being a manager. The new information is that it would have been for Keith Lee. Number one, I don't know why you think Keith Lee needs a mouthpiece. Number two, I don't know why you would think Adam Cole is not good enough to be in the ring performing for your company, and you look at him as nothing more than a mouthpiece for somebody else that doesn't need a fucking mouthpiece. The fuck is wrong with you? You know, I keep mentioning Greg Maddox and John Smoltz, two of my most favorite players ever. Adam Cole is undoubtedly my favorite pro wrestler right now in any promotion. Has been for a little bit. I love the match with Gargano. I don't know how you look at that and don't want that on your show. You don't find excitement in that. That would be like me benching Greg Maddox. Really. That would be like Bobby Cox managing the Atlanta Braves benching Greg Maddox. I don't get it. Does Vince ever think about who he used to be? That would be like him taking Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and making them a fucking manager. I don't understand how they've fallen so far from the tree. I don't get how they've lost who they are to this extent. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. You can be for your sports entertainment. You could be pro WWE over AEW. I don't care. But there's nobody with a right brain, a right mind, that's going to look at this and say, I don't know what's wrong with them, man. They're fucked up. They're fucked up. And I said this from day one. He needs to leave. He needs to know what's going on. He sees it. He's not stupid. Why would he stay? He walked into Vince McMahon's office, and it was like, who brought your kid to work day with Adam Cole? That's what they looked at when they looked at Adam Cole. All I heard from the geeks online, Adam Cole, he's liked by Vince McMahon on a personal level. That's going to mean great things for his career. Don't listen to anybody on Twitter. All you need to do is follow this check mark. I would never steer you wrong. Where did that meeting with Vince McMahon get him now? A non-wrestling role for the biggest wrestling company on the planet who doesn't love professional wrestling and shows you everything as to why they hate professional wrestling. Them letting Adam Cole walk. These plans for Adam Cole has shown you nothing but them hating professional wrestling. They never deserved anybody like Adam Cole or anybody that's like him that comes after him. Good. Good. He will find success with Tony Khan, and then WWE will continue to say, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Sure, it's not. Sure, it's not. It was a big deal to Triple H when his contract was up because he scrambled to fucking keep him on the brand. Wasn't a big deal. How do you think you make NXT look? How do you think you make Triple H look? How do you think you make Shawn Michaels look? How many years that they put into fucking giving Adam Cole their time and all the resources that they've given Adam Cole and everybody around him, Kyle O'Reilly, which is doomed to fail, Roderick Strong, who's doomed to fail, Bobby Fish, who's already thankfully out of that disaster known as NXT. How do you think they feel? How do you think William Regal feels? How do you think Matt Bloom feels? How do you think about all these people feel? A proverbial leader in the locker room, everybody that's beloved by everybody. Everybody that they've given so much time and resource and energy to build him as the next Shawn Michaels of this company. And everybody in the company sees it but Vince McMahon and Bruce Prichard. Fucking Bruce Prichard, man, that fucking yellow-bellied fucking coward who doesn't have a goddamn clue as to what to do, loves to be around Vince McMahon to fucking hang on to the tip of his fucking cock every single time. Meth head fucking coke head looking motherfucker. Bruce Prichard. That's the guy that's running this company. That's the guy that's running creative in this company. This guy who wanted to make Adam Cole a fucking manager? Jesus fucking Christ, man. If that doesn't show you that Bruce Prichard and Vince McMahon need to be actively removed immediately, I don't know what will. I don't know what will. They always seem to top themselves. What's the next story to come out? Good, he's gone. Continue to say it's not a big deal. I'll be watching the other show that he's on that's not a big deal. I'll be here to tell you guys he's not a big deal when he has a 5-star fucking match with Bryan Danielson at the next goddamn pay-per-view. He's not a big deal. Great. When he gives you a 5-star rating match against Bryan Danielson, then everybody's going to be hanging from his jockstrap. You know what I'm going to be doing? I'll be sitting here saying, I told you so. 32 years old, not good enough to be in WWE, only good enough to be Keith Lee's manager, who also has been struggling to get to TV because of indecisiveness from management. Great. They could have been two losers, two peas in a pod, together sitting in fucking catering, rubbing elbows. Hey, bro, what's going on? Remember the glory days? The title versus title match in NXT where you won both titles from me? Yeah. Yeah. Don't worry. Don't worry. Keith Lee, he'll be joining Bay Bay on that other show that's not too important. And then Keith Lee could get the fucking, the whole statement of, it's not a big loss. It's not a big loss. Yeah, right. Not a big loss. Okay. Monday Night Raw, the ratings down. What else is new? Show was absolutely abysmal on Monday night. Abysmal. According to Showbuzz Daily, the episode drew 1.849 million viewers, down from 1.907. The 18 to 49 demo was number 2 to AEW, 0.52. This is down from the 0.54 the show did last week. 18 to 49 demo saw 0.54, 0.52, and 0.50 in hour 1, 2, and 3. The hourly breakdown, 1.958, 1.842, and 1.748. Monday Night Raw was ranked number 2 on the top cable 150 for the night. That is down from number 1. They were actually number 1 last week. A college football game topped the chart in the key demo and drew 3 million viewers on ESPN. And next week's Raw is going up against Monday Night Football. I can't wait for all the geeks. They're down because of Monday Night Football. Go look at the Monday Night ratings on week 1 of Monday Night Football 10 years ago, and then compare that rating to this rating. Where did all those fans go? Oh, that's right. They're watching that show that's unimportant on Wednesday night. That's where they're going. This featured episode featured Akira Tozawa versus Reggie. This was a legit proposed match, a scheduled match on the show. Yet the likes of Ricochet can't make the fucking show in a scheduled match. Charlotte Flair defended her Raw Women's title against Nia Jax. I would be lying if I told you I remembered anything from that match, because I don't. I walked away. Women's Tag Team Champions Natalya and Tamina lost to Rhea Ripley and Nikki Trash. Don't know why they're the women's champions. They've lost every single match they've been in non-title situations as champions. And Rhea Ripley and what's-her-name, Trash, are now number 1 contenders after Shotzi and Tegan have won singles matches against the tag team champions, and they've beaten the tag team champions on more than one occasion in a tag team match, non-title. So how are Rhea Ripley and Nikki Trash the number 1 contenders when that deserves to be the honor of Shotzi and Tegan? I don't know. Drew McIntyre wrestled Sheamus. Sheamus is getting the number 1 contendership against the United States champion Damian Priest at the pay-per-view. And they had a gauntlet match for the tag team championships that they split into 2 sections, one in the beginning and one at the end of the show. And they built it majority around the New Day. Because, the New Day, they just got called up from NXT and they needed the push on Monday night. They're young and vibrant and new and fresh, and they were just debuting on Monday Night Raw. Says nobody. They built this entire tag team turmoil match against the New Day and every other team in the tag team division, with the New Day going over the majority of them until they got attacked by fucking T-Bag and Mace, only for them to fall to AJ Styles and Omos. Who won the fucking thing? I don't even remember. Who won the fucking gauntlet match? I'm trying to remember back who won the gauntlet match. Oh, yeah, Bobby Lashley versus MVP versus RK Bro. That's the match. The WWE champion and MVP, who is a manager, will now wrestle rated RK Bro. Instead of building somebody like up or somebody up like the Viking Raiders and giving them the rub and having them win 5 matches in this gauntlet match. They don't need it. Or Ali and Mansoor. They don't need it either. And Ali and Orton, they don't got any unfinished business or anything on the main roster, right? Drew McIntyre, he lost to Sheamus. What's going on with him? What is he doing at the pay-per-view? McIntyre was a sore loser on this week, showed some heel tendencies on Raw. Post-match beatdown on Sheamus. A lot of fans thought that this was a sign of a heel turn coming for Mr. Feeney. Drew McIntyre. At this point, WWE is keeping their options open when it comes to Drew. Ringside News asked around in an exclusive about what's going on with Drew McIntyre. Reports surfaced that he was making a move to SmackDown, but then we discovered that WWE didn't have any concrete draft plans on the board as of September 1. They don't have any solid Raw plans as of Monday at 4 p.m. And they got 8 p.m. airtime. Never mind a fucking draft. A tenured member of the creative team told us at Ringside News that all options are open with Drew McIntyre. This includes Raw, SmackDown, heel, or babyface. It was explicitly noted that Vince and Bruce may know, but that information is not really available internally. It's amazing how only Bruce and Vince know and everybody else that they're writing for doesn't know anything. Is that how it works? Does Bruce just hold in all the information and tells them when he feels he needs to tell them? We were also able to confirm that the policy is still in place where most superstars can't know about their own creative direction unless Bruce Pritchard gives them the green light to share. Wow, did I foreshadow that one? It's not a cross-the-board mandate, but for the most part, yes. A source stated to confirm the policy is still in place. Wow! Wow! What a great job, Bruce. What a real leader. What a way to build morale in the locker room. I got this creative plan for you, but we're not going to tell you because we don't know what the fuck we're doing by a minute-by-minute basis back here. This is why I said from day one, this guy being here is an absolute fucking cancer to the WWE. It's when Vince McMahon's gone, who is he going to look to run the show? Bruce Pritchard. Because he knows Bruce is going to run the show the same exact way that Vince would run it. This guy doesn't combat Vince on any creative ideas. He doesn't say no to Vince McMahon. Yes, 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 yes. You want it done? I'll do it. You want the tip of your cock licked? I'll do it. I'll do it. You want it tickled? You want me to tickle your balls? I'll do it. You want me to fucking run my tongue up the shaft? I'll do it. It was also noted that Drew McIntyre does not know about his own creative future. And it's not like Jeff Hardy, apparently, who just shows up every week and does what he is told to do. He listens and he does. Drew McIntyre, listen, man, Roman Reigns is the story here. Okay, Roman Reigns is the story. After he gets through Lesnar, there is legitimately nobody but Rollins, and that is not interesting to me at all. There's nobody available on SmackDown but Rollins, so I could see Drew going to SmackDown and being fed for Roman. Or feed for Roman. He's going to be fed to Roman. Roman's going to feast. That's exactly what's going to happen. If I was to make a prediction right now, I'm pretty solid on that. McIntyre's going to end up on SmackDown, and he's going to be the new challenger for Roman Reigns. That's exactly what they're doing. Why? Because they have nothing else for him to do on Raw. And as long as Bobby Lashley's the champion, and he should be, he can't get a championship match. What is he going to do, fight for the United States Championship? I'm surprised if WWE has any interest in pushing him, period. He was a COVID champion. He was around in the right time at the right place, and they had nobody else to do it. So they just felt bad and gave him the championship. They didn't have any fucking plans for him as champion. None. They had no follow-up as a champion for Drew McIntyre. Nothing. Nothing. He's going to SmackDown. No questions asked. It's going to be the next challenger for Roman Reigns. Jeff Hardy, though. Jeff Hardy addressed him chasing the 24/7 title on Monday Night Raw. Hardy said this in Miami. Monday night in Miami. That's just what I felt like doing. That's what I had to do. I was in the chase for the 24/7 title, and it just didn't work out, man. It's one of those things, man. I show up to work and do what they tell me to do and move on, man. That's in the past, and this Monday is the future, so I'm super excited, man. End quote. Hardy also says he feels like things are not done with Karrion Kross, and he thinks there may be something else happening with him and Kross at Extreme Rules. Hardy also said that his goal is to be Universal Champion one more time before his career is over. Yeah, right. Yeah, maybe. Universal Champion with who? Roman Reigns is being champion? Yeah, man, keep dreaming, bro. Maybe in 2K22 when it comes out in March next year. Jeff Hardy, his contract's coming up whenever, he'll be gone. But look at how he doesn't give a shit, man. Look at how, A, professional he is, and B, how he just doesn't give a shit. Oh, I just do what they tell me to do, man, and I move on. That's in the past, and Monday is the future, so I'm super excited. Super excited. What I'd love to know is they built this storyline with Kross and Hardy on storyline. Why did Kross lose in his debut match as NXT champion in 90 fucking seconds to Jeff Hardy? Because it's going to tell a greater story. What greater story was that, WWE management geek? Him chasing the 24/7 title? So not only did you make Jeff Hardy look like a fucking idiot, you make Kross look like a bigger loser. And you blatantly lied to the dirt sheets, like you usually do. There's no plan, there's no Scarlet, and Jeff Hardy and Kross are both losers. Then they want to know why nobody's over. What a shame. Chasing the 24/7 title, this guy is so fucking depressed that he's convincing himself that it's okay. That it's okay. Rampage drew 696,000 viewers on Friday. 0.31 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. That is on TNT at the 10 p.m. time slot. Clowns. Last week's show did 722,000 viewers with a 0.34 rating. This is the lowest viewership and the key demo number the show has done since it premiered. Rampage ranked number 4 in the top 150 shows on cable for the night, down from last week's number 1 ranking. The show went up against college football on ESPN that averaged 2.1 million viewers with a 0.74 key demo rating. Darby Allin versus Daniel Garcia with Punk on commentary to build to their match. Malachi Black versus Lee Johnson, which was excellent. Chris Statlander versus Jamie Hayter and Rebel, and a Miro promo to set up his match with Eddie Kingston, which was great at All Out. Good show. It was a good show. It's an hour. I can't complain. You want to complain about the fucking rating being below 700,000? By all means, waste your life on social media complaining about something that led to the greatest pay-per-view of the entire year. Give me a break. Why Bryan Danielson did not use the final countdown in AEW. Meltzer noted in The Observer that there was an attempt made by AEW president Tony Khan to get the song, but it would have cost too much money to license the music. So the final countdown will not, as you can see, be the version that they used for his theme music. The Last of the Valkyries, a remix of that, was used instead. There was, in fact, an attempt to have him come out to the final countdown, figuring the place would explode, which they did anyway, but even for Tony Khan, it was cost prohibitive. Now, there may be something along the lines down the line where they get the rights to the song, but I don't understand why Europe, the band that is responsible for the song, The Final Countdown, did not want their song to be played every time this guy came out. Maybe they save it for special occasions. Maybe we get it for a major paper. Maybe if he wrestles Omega, he comes out to it and Tony Khan pays the one-time fee. Or I don't know. But they ain't making new music. They haven't made new music in God knows how long. They ain't charting the top music charts or anything, so why not get your name and your band out there and maybe make some back end on it while he's using your music on a major wrestling show that's drawing millions of people in. From the band Europe, I think that's a dumb decision. For some reason, they think the song is more valuable to them than Tony Khan and him not using it. Dumb. Not that I mind his theme music, but I think if he came out to that theme music, the place would have been even louder than it was on Sunday night. That's just me. Lio Rush. He may be returning to AEW in the near future. Khan noted that he was talking to Rush a lot recently about returning to the promotion. Although he didn't confirm when it would be happening, he did note that he feels it could happen in the future. Khan wrote, and I quote, "I see a lot of tweets talking about Lio Rush today. Coincidentally, I've been talking to Lio Rush a lot about returning to AEW, and it feels like something that could happen in the near future, end quote. Rush made his promotional debut at Double or Nothing in May as the Joker wildcard in the men's Casino Battle Royale. He suffered a shoulder injury in the match. Rush was not under contract with AEW at the time, but had a handshake deal with Tony Khan as he was still working for New Japan Pro Wrestling. All Elite Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling also have a working relationship. So Rush was a part of the Forbidden Door. In June, Lio Rush announced that he would retire from pro wrestling once his commitments with New Japan were finished. It will be interesting to see if Rush does make a return to AEW instead of retiring from wrestling altogether. I didn't get the retirement deal by Rush. I think it was very overdramatic for the sake of being overdramatic. He's young. He's not even, 26? 27? Not even that? Why are you retiring from the one thing that you're good at? I know he wants to make music. I know he's an aspiring hip-hop musician. I get it. But this is your bread and butter. You ain't retiring from nothing. All the overdramatic tweets and nonsense. I'm retiring. I got to take care of this and the family and all this other shit. Bro, I said it the day of. You're coming back. You're going to heal up. You're going to rehabilitate. You're going to come back and you're going to be on AEW. You ain't going to AEW? You don't want to be a pro wrestler on AEW television right now? Come on. Give me a break, man. This guy was never going to retire, and he's not retiring anytime soon. Come on. I hope to see him back. He's excellent at what he does. There's an AEW star right now that's not happy about being lost in the shuffle after recent signings of Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, CM Punk, and Malachi Black. Melissa Santos, who was the ring announcer for Lucha Underground. She also did work with Impact. She's married to Brian Cage. And she complained and vented on social media, on Twitter, about the way her husband, Brian Cage, is being utilized in AEW. Santos said, Brian Cage is a superstar. I agree with her. He very much is. Those people who know him from the indies, Impact, Lucha Underground, where I met him, know that he's a superstar. All you have to do is Google him and watch all of his matches. He's a superstar and he's being misused right now. End quote. Cage was signed by AEW last year, but he has been primarily working on the AEW Dark shows. Last week, he lost to Powerhouse Hobbs on Dynamite. AEW has a lot of momentum right now because of all the recent hires that they are adding, and their roster is stacked. But some say, critics, these online geeks, are saying that there's too much talent and not enough time to showcase everyone. Not everybody needs to be showcased. It appears that Santos feels that her husband is one of those names that should be featured in a more meaningful way. Cage appears to agree with his wife as he recently tweeted a screenshot from an article that says that Cage has gotten lost in the shuffle in AEW. This message goes directly out to Melissa Santos and Brian Cage. I love you both. I love you both. I think Melissa Santos was one of the best ring announcers in the business when she was with Lucha Underground. I think anybody that got her in that time when she was hot would have gotten a gem. Brian Cage, I've watched many of his old matches, dating back to Lucha Underground and Impact when he was X Division champion, what he did over there. The guy is a freak of nature, man. The fact that he's not in something more prominent on AEW television is telling. But it's not his fault. It's not his fault. It's a situation of AEW needing to grow and everybody needing to be patient. The more money Brian Cage makes is going to be a result of everybody that you feel is coming in after him and him being misused. Brian Cage is going to be a bigger name for it because the roster is going to be bigger for it with everybody that they've brought in that has pushed Brian Cage further and further down the ladder. That's just common sense. And I have things here because I've not missed one single episode of Dynamite. So my memory on this shit is fresh. And I couldn't wait to talk about this story because I think it's honestly ridiculous that anybody thinks Brian Cage is being misused. Brian Cage debuted in the casino ladder match during the pandemic and won his ladder match and won the title shot to get a world championship match right out of the gate, which he feuded with Jon Moxley for the title. I'm sorry, is that being misused? So clearly Tony Khan and AEW management know exactly what they got in Brian Cage, so much so that they made him win a ladder match or a fucking battle royale or whatever the fuck it was. And they feuded him as #1 contender on night 1 against Jon Moxley for the AEW title. He feuded with Mox. He was a part of Sting's, you know, the guy that wears the black and white face paint, the guy that hangs in the rafters, Steve Borden, you know, WCW legend, WWE Hall of Famer, the guy that's taken Darby Allin's career to the next level. Sting, you know that guy. His first feud in AEW was with Brian Cage and Team Taz. You think that's just whatever? You think that's whatever for Brian Cage, right? Tony Khan could have picked anybody, any stable, for Darby Allin and Sting to work, but they opted for Team Taz, which Brian Cage was an integral part of. He beat Hangman Page in the first match at Double or Nothing, AEW's first match in front of a full crowd in Daly's Place this past May. You think that's just a spot that they give to anybody? They called upon Brian Cage and Adam Page to put on a great match, which they did, in front of 6,000 people, which was the largest crowd that AEW has had since the beginning of the pandemic. But you don't think that's a big deal. You think Brian Cage is being misused. I honestly think Melissa Santos and Brian Cage are looking at it at the wrong way, and I honestly think they need to step back and be a little bit patient. Not everybody can be featured on TV. Not everybody should be featured on TV. Not everybody is being misused. There's just a couple of things that have now taken greater priority over everything else. And when those things get established, and when those names bring AEW to the next level, then you're going to start to see all the work of Tony Khan and all the work of those people that he's brought in trickle down the ladder, and people like Brian Cage and MJF and Sammy Guevara and Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, and everybody else in that same boat as Brian Cage. They will be better off for it. They will be making more money for it. Stop the complaining. You're a part of history. You want to be a part of history? Then do what you need to do, use it, and get better from it. If you don't want to be a part of history, go join the rest of the fucking Dead Man's crew over in WWE and see how green the other side of the grass is, or whatever the grass is on the other side of the fence, whatever the fucking saying is. Hey, go see what they do over there. They're going to take you and use you the way you want? Give me a break. NXT ratings down. What else is new? I wouldn't be surprised if USA drops this fucking hellhole of a show. 601,000 live viewers, down from 717,000 live viewers. The show did a week ago. 0.14 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. The show did a 0.17 rating 1 week ago. It was ranked number 31 in the top 150 shows on cable for the night, down from last week's number 23 ranking. I didn't even watch. I'm going to be honest with you. I watched Kaylee Ray versus Ember Moon. I thought it was good. And then I skipped out on everything else. I was watching Santos Escobar and Carmelo Hayes, and I said to myself, Jesus fucking Christ, I cannot get into this shit. I actually went up to my office and played Destiny and grinded my Destiny weekly shit. And I didn't even look back. I didn't. I will be watching this Tuesday, though, to see the dumpster fire that is Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon's vision. And finally, guys, the SmackDown rating. 9/3/21. Viewership holds steady. 2.220 million viewers on Fox, which was down from last week's show of 2.250. That's according to Showbuzz Daily. The all-important 18 to 49 demographic did a 0.62. That was up from the 0.59. And we got this episode featuring Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor, which was excellent. Other than that, nothing else. Street Profits versus the Usos in a non-title match. Seth Rollins versus Cesaro. And Becky Lynch making Bianca Belair look like a fucking geek, as always. If you guys missed my SmackDown post-show, Lesnar returns to confront Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. Edge versus Seth Rollins. Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch sign a contract for Extreme Rules, and they're inside Madison Square Garden for the first time since the start of the pandemic. That's all I got, guys. I don't have any cool story to end with. Honestly, I did all the cool shit in the beginning of the show. So I appreciate you guys very much. If you enjoyed this episode of Off the Script 390, hit that thumbs up down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. If you guys want to go get your t-shirts, everything you need is linked underneath the video player. Click it. It'll take you right to bonfire.com. Go check out Manscaped, manscaped.com. Use code SCRIPT20 at checkout to save 20% off and free shipping on the new Lawn Mower 4.0. And make sure you guys do this. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell, hit the thumbs up. Let's try for 1,500. And make sure you guys follow me on Twitter at JD from NY206. Guys, I'll see you back on Monday night for the post show of Monday Night Raw. Brand new week of content. Enjoy your weekends. And I'll see you back in the venue on Monday for Monday Night Raw. See you guys later.